Hey guys, welcome back. Scott here with the new beer dissection video. Well, it's that time of year again. I have reviewed this beer in the past, and I probably will continue to review it every year. And this is not an unfamiliar beer, but it is the time of the year for Sierra Nevada's Celebration Fresh Hopped IPA. Okay. Under general beer talks, I did a whole thing about hops. Fresh hopping, wet hops, how we hop beer, why we hop beer, for bitterness, flavor, aroma, preservatives too, things like that, antibacterial, blah, blah, blah. So I go into the whole fresh hop. Well, this is Celebration Ale, their IPA, which again, let me just give you the specs again on this. It's at 6.8%, I believe. God, it could be. I just had it here. 6.8% it is. They use Cascade, Centennial, and Chinook, Pacific Northwest hops. So what are you usually expecting to get? Like that piney, maybe slightly resiny, maybe grapefruit character on your West Coast IPA with a good, nice pronounced bitterness is what we usually look for. There's a fantastic video, and any of you guys are interested, there are beer geeks, on YouTube. I didn't watch it that long ago. It was about a half-hour video with the owner of Sierra Nevada. He goes into history. Phenomenal guide, phenomenal history of Sierra Nevada Brewing Company. If you're really interested, chime in under my page or Facebook, and I will find the link, because I'm sure I have it in my history, because it was a really good video. And this is like they're like one of the original like craft breweries, starting probably in, I think it was the late 70s, early 80s. But anyway, I'm not going to go too much into their history, even though I do go on a tangent periodically. So Chico, California. They're also brewing out of Mills River, North Carolina, which I don't think is too far from Asheville. Could be off on that a little bit. So it's their Celebration Fresh Hopped IPA. They've come out with this for several years, not even say several years, it's probably like 15, 20, 30 years, maybe even longer. And usually I don't know what grade I gave it last year. I'm sure it was probably an A range, if it wasn't A+, because unless you're getting it oxidized most of the time, this is one of the standbys this time of the year. I'm filming this in December, the beginning of December, that you'll see this beer come out. And it'll be out for a bit, and then it goes away. Because remember, harvest season with the hops is September-ish. It could be late August into September, but like roughly September. So they do the harvesting, and again, there is a video on this, not my video, but there's a video on that explain how they go right from harvest to almost immediately to the breweries. And this one in particular, they will brew the beer very quickly. So the package date on this makes sense too, is, if I'm reading that right, that is a 10. October 19th, 23. I'm filming this in December, what's today's date? I think it's the 5th of December. So we're only looking at about 4-6 weeks old or so. So, I mean, this is going to be really fresh, okay? And you'd expect that from them. All right, so anyway, guys, let's crack this open. I just got a regular tulip glass, and I got my Tiku today. And take a look at it. I always look forward to this one every year. I wish I should, I don't like to store beer and age beer, because most of the time it doesn't do great things to beer in most beers. This one, too, you want to drink fresh. You don't want to have it stored around. But I know some people have kept them year to year, but this is just really not a beer that I would age, okay, even though it's at 6.8%. All right, so let's pour this out. Okay, so what do we have here? I poured pretty aggressively. I got about 1.5 inches. Nice light tan beige head, pretty tight compact bubbles. This is going to sit there pretty nicely, okay, for a while. It almost has a head like Sierra Nevada Pale Ale. Very pretty looking. The color on this is kind of like a medium amber color, almost perfectly clear, which is not something you see that often anymore with IPAs. They probably even filter it out a little bit more, but you kind of got that medium amber, maybe even a light copper if you want to go there. But almost crystal clear. There's really no chill haze even there, even, that I could even hallucinate this to look at there. But anyway, let's take a sniff of the aroma. Wow. This is just one of those standby beers that you just know what to count on every year. Bursting with pine. I mean, there's pine, maybe a light citrus. I get more pine. Some earthiness, maybe even resiny a little bit. And if there is some fruit, it's a little more citrus on the grapefruit side, but don't expect, again, this is typically a West Coast IPA that's got more bitterness and, it has that more piney, and the fruit is more grapefruit, but don't think of New England IPAs or juicy, hazy IPAs, which are like bursting like fruit juice, okay, and very thick and everything like that, full mouthfeel and everything. This is not going to be that type of beer. But again, very pretty beer, just the way I remember it. And again, that head is holding up pretty well. I'm even getting some lacing there on the top of it. You can see the lacing occurring. But again, very pretty, very consistent. This beer looks, and I haven't tasted it yet, tastes and smells almost the same time, the same way every year. And that's what's great about these brewers, is that they've got things dialed in so good, so well, that they can just produce year to year the beer, and even the alpha acids can be off a little bit or whatever, but they've got it dialed in so much that the bitterness and the aroma and everything is essentially the same. Okay, so anyway, guys, on the malt, I didn't mention that. You got that little bread crust, medium toast character. They're probably using some crystal malt, giving it the color also. I'm getting a little more grapefruit now as I'm sniffing it here, but there is no doubt about it. There's pine, but there is that light, like toffee, medium toast, breadcrumb, maybe even like a light, like biscuit top, hop aroma. Okay, guys, cheers. Wow. Medium high carbonation. Pretty dry. I'm commenting on that first because a lot of times with this beer, the hop bite is just so nice and crisp that there's not, it's kind of sharp in a good way. You just kind of get this nice, zing off your taste buds. You get a little bit of that grapefruit and pine. Even when I do a little retronasal thing, you get the pine again a little bit more. But bread crust, medium toast, biscuit top type of malt profile. So this is definitely going to be an IPA with a pretty substantial malt backbone. And I believe they use some crystal malts too that give some of that caramel color, caramel flavor, nutty, toffee. You may have a slightly different adjective when you're describing the beer if you do the same thing that I do. But again, all in all, really good and extremely consistent. The bitterness is definitely pronounced to assertive. No astringency, no alcoholic warmth. It's 6.8. It's a little on the lower end than where I would get it. But on the aftertaste, you're kind of left with a little bit of that earthy herbal pine needle type of spruce tips, is a good example that I got in the aftertaste. But then the bitterness kind of just sits there on your tongue, but very pleasant. This is probably a great beer to pair with most foods because that pronounced to assertive bitterness that could cut through a lot of different things, a lot of fatty dishes and things like that. That's why it's so great around the holidays with all the food that we're eating. But anyway, again, there's something just great about a well-made West Coast IPA with that substantial bitterness because we drink so many New England juicy IPAs or IPA likes that they have lower bitterness, and they're basically like drinking fruit juice, especially if they have a lot of body to it. This is a little bit crisper. The body's still kind of a medium bodied, but just the way the bitterness, the carbonation, everything works together, even with the malt backbone from this, it just kind of gives you that crisp, clean, refreshing sensation on your taste buds. But anyway, guys, grade-wise with this, I can't go any lower. I'm going to say overall drinkability, enjoyability, I'm going to say A+. If someone wanted to scrutinize, I mean, I love a lot of different IPAs, but if you want to bring it just from an A+ to an A, but this is one of the more well-made beers, and even in home brewing, we usually try to mimic this beer. Again, using Cascade C's, Centennial, and Chinook, which are Pacific Northwest hops. I've used those many times in home brewing in the past, but they're just classic for West Coast IPA and just great all-purpose hops for bitterness, aroma, and flavor. So anyway, guys, if you're seeing this video and you maybe remember, again, this is a review from last year's video that I had done on this. Grab this, try it out if you've never had it before. And if you are a New England IPA lover, try this and just see the differences I talk about. You're going to get more bitterness with this, pine, resin, earthiness, versus your New England juicy IPAs, because I know those are more popular right now. And notice the bitterness level lower on those, even though you may get a little bit more fruit, citrus, and tropical fruit on those beers. This one, if you're going to get fruit, it's a little bit more grapefruit, citrus type of stuff. So anyway, guys, today's beer dissection was the classic Sierra Nevada Celebration Fresh Hop IPA. This time of the year, it's usually readily available. Go taste it if you haven't had it before. Until my next beer dissection video, guys, have a great day. Take care. Bye-bye.